Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. I'd like to start by thanking all my subscribers, all my viewers for their kindness, for their support. And I'd like to start by saying justice for the families. May the four victims rest in peace. We know that exactly a week ago, John Judge, that's his name, ruled that the prosecution has to turn over all the genealogical DNA evidence in the case of Brian Christopher Koberger. We're waiting on that. We don't know how it's going to be because the FBI does take time to submit all their work, and the prosecution has to make a request, I think, or statement before this procedure happens. With that being said, I want you all to actually listen to something that is really important. I like to play Kaylee Goncalves, or Goncalves, is half sister. They share the same father, Steve. Is TikTok video that she shared. Apparently, Steve has never been in her life. And she talks about Steve getting her mother pregnant when her mother was 17 years old. And she said that basically he abandoned her and her mother. He was given a choice by his wife, Christy, that's Kaylee's mother, allegedly, to choose either Kaylee and Alivira and her two sisters and her brother, that five side of the family, or to choose this girl. This young woman looks like she's been through a lot, honestly. And it's sad. It's hard.
Since it is almost been a year since the anniversary of my sister's death, I wanted to go on here and talk about my dad, Steve Goncalves, and elaborate on my perspective on things and how it's affected my life. I didn't know how to go about that. I don't know how to go about that. So I decided that I would write from a journal entry that I wrote today. And I feel really vulnerable doing this. So anyway, I'm really feeling exactly why I've been so bothered by Steve. I understand now that when he would write me for all those years, I did not have a fixed idea or example of what his voice would sound like or how his movements would look while speaking. Seeing him on the screen so often expressing his love for his daughter and its deep sadness that he feels because she is gone is all expressions that I wanted him to have for me. I feel like I owe my sister an apology for why I'm so upset with him, because it doesn't have anything to do with her, just like her death doesn't have anything to do with me, but we are still intertwined nonetheless. Her unaliving shows me exactly the capability that Steve has to be a father. I didn't get that and she did. Please bear with me because I don't really want people to get the wrong idea here. I'm just trying to express myself. Okay. Her death shook an entire nation. And when I was told not to speak about it, it really hurt. And when I found out I wasn't allowed to speak to my dad about it, and the media and TikTok especially had all sorts of accusations and borderline obsessions about the case, and I was blasted for simply asking people to remember that the victims have families and that this subject is sensitive. This resulted in my other sister, Olivia, going online accusing me of gaining clout off of Kaylee's death. Obviously, this wasn't my intention at all, And though I was not allowed to talk to Kaylee often, her and I did connect via Facebook and other platforms. And Olivia and I did spend physical time together on more than one occasion because she was the oldest besides myself, and it was more appropriate. Steve got my mom pregnant as a teenager and left us both. He also refused to let my stepdad adopt me at the time, and always had this unspoken claim over me that I think he wanted to keep a reminder that I am in fact his child. I don't really know why that is to this day. Exactly. But over the duration of my entire life, we spoke in private through thousands of emails since I was a child. His wife would never approve of this and always shut me down every time or ignored me entirely when I would try to reach out to my sisters and my brother. So being told to go underground and keep to myself after all this really set me into a really dark night of the soul. Seeing my dad's face and some of the more unsettling comments opened an abandonment issue, an abandonment wound that I thought I had since healed by the connection that I had developed with Steve before this had happened. In a lot of ways, Steve became my best friend, and even though I had never met him in person since I was a very young child, I still had a lot of love and a lot of curiosity about my family and where it came from, and that never went away. I watched him and my sisters grow up through the pictures he would send me, and I felt like I knew Kaylee. Since she was a little girl. Family, when I was again repeatedly told that Steve was given an ultimatum to either seeing my dad's face and some of the more unsettling comments opened an abandonment issue, an abandonment wound that I thought I had since healed by the connection that I had developed with Steve before this had happened. And a lot of since I was a very young child, I still had a lot of love and a lot of curiosity about my family and where it came from, and that never went away. I watched him and my sisters grow up through the pictures he would send me, and I felt like I knew Kaylee. Since she was a little girl, and it was kept secret long before she even knew about me. I had no desire to force myself into their family when I was again repeatedly told that Steve was given an ultimatum to either choose me or his other children by his wife, Christy. So needless to say that he chose his other family, and I respected that. However, I always held hope that I'd get to meet them all someday, especially because I really enjoyed the time that I did get to spend with Olivia, and I would have given anything to meet Kaylee. God, it's hard to read. Perfect strangers are grieving her death, but I'm not supposed to, and I'm her blood relative. I changed my last name from Samantha Goncalves to Samantha Nelson when I was 18 because it felt like the only thing I had control over, and I wasn't part of that side of my family. Even though I looked like Steve and I had his wit and apparently his mannerisms, I still wasn't a true Goncalves. I also wanted to have the same last name as my little sisters on my mom's side because being a big sister was very important to me. Since Kaylee's been taken away from us, I'll never be given the chance to do that in whatever way that might have looked like in all the ways that I have dreamt of. I didn't get to say goodbye either. I was hardly even given the opportunity to say hello without her mother knowing. I'm by no means trying to bash my dad or his wife for that matter, but I had to deal with this all alone. And when this happened, it really just, it spiraled me in the wrong direction. It really triggered a lot of abandonment, the wounds, and that resulted in me self-medicating in unhealthy ways. I started drinking a lot and isolating, and basically everybody was, fixated on Kaylee's death, and I was in a fight for my life that Steve completely disregarded. And and when I had made my first initial video, Steve told me to take it down because it had caused drama in their family. And I by no means was trying to make things more challenging for him. I had no desire to look like I had dropped into victim mentality, and I had enough emotional awareness to know that I needed to get some help processing this too. So I got help with sobriety, and I weaved in and out of rehab and Oxford houses, and really working on my mental health. And that being said, I'm aware that this case is bigger than me and it doesn't have anything to do with me in a lot of ways, but for him, I had no desire to look like I had dropped into victim mentality, and I had enough emotional awareness to know that I needed to get some help processing this too. So I got help with sobriety, and I weaved in and out of rehab and Oxford houses, and really working on my mental health. And that being said, I'm aware that this case is bigger than me and it doesn't have anything to do with me in a lot of ways, but it did affect my life. And if I could speak to Kaylee today, I would tell her that I'm so incredibly sorry that this happened to her, and that she was and is so loved, that she has millions of people praying and fighting for justice for her. And I'd tell her that I don't understand why this happened to her, and I'd express how thankful that I am that she had a dad that I didn't, because all little girls deserve that. So yeah, this year I just want to reiterate for people to be kind on the internet, and yeah.
So that was Kaylee's sister, half sister. They have the same father talking. I didn't get her name. She's a biological sister. What is sad is, to start with, we need to remember to be kind to each other. Everyone goes through their own journey in life, and everyone goes through their own struggles in life. I do not want to pass much judgment on a very sensitive, vulnerable, mindful subject like this, because as a licensed mental health counselor, as a licensed cognitive behavior therapist, that's a CBT therapist, as a practitioner, I have to be careful, because to start with, in counseling, one of the rules is non-judgmental. We're not supposed to be judgmental. We're not supposed to discriminate anyone. And in this case, we don't have all the facts. But what I can understand is how difficult this journey and this process must have been for this young girl. Because no human being deserves to be in a position where, to get the attention of their father, the attention of their mother, that they have to come on TikTok or come on YouTube to address their situation. Steve Goncalves, or Goncalves, is going through a lot. He lost his daughter, Kaylee Goncalves, and Maddie, that was practically one of the sisters of Kaylee and the rest of the family. What is hurtful is this girl is a part of the family too. She is Steve's daughter. Her mother had her when she was 17 years old, and for whatever reason, according to her, her father is not standing up for his responsibilities as a father, and that is really sad. Because right now he's going through a situation where, unfortunately, he's lost Kaylee and Maddie. He's lost his own daughter. And I look at this as a chance that this is a chance he can mend with his other daughter. The question is, I just wonder, why now? Why did she decide to come now to talk about this subject when it's the 1-year anniversary of Kaylee? That's why it took me 2 days to make this clip. And I still don't know what to talk about, but I thought of just like touching on her subject. I really feel a pain. I can imagine how it is to grow up without a father, because I lost my father when I was 9 years old. So I know what it must have caused her, but my situation is different to her situation. Because her father's alive, he has that chance to mend the bond between him and his daughter. It's never too late. He should use this situation of, while he's dealing with the closure of what happened to the 4 precious victims, which his daughter Kaylee is one of them, and Maddie, he should address this situation here too, because this is his daughter. He's entitled by law to support the family. We don't know if he's been doing that, but according to the daughter, he seems to be distancing away from his duties and meeting his own daughter. I just feel sorry for her, because she spoke about her mental health state. This is definitely giving her PTSD, anxiety, depression. She said she isolates herself. She's been self-medicating, whether it's alcohol or whatever other self-medication that she's been doing is definitely affecting her. She's a young woman. She doesn't deserve to be in this situation. I don't know what's the story with her father, Steve, and his wife, and even this older sister, Alvira, but I think they should all pay attention to this situation. Maybe I would advise them, actually, the whole family, if Steve is listening, to have a family therapy. Deal with this matter, because this girl is hurting. She needs your love. She's your daughter. I don't know what's the back situation between this girl and Christy, Kaylee's mother, her stepmother, her stepsister, brothers and all. But she looks like she really wants a family. She really wants to know her father. She really wants to understand the other half of her, the set of DNA from her father's side. She would love to know about that, and I don't think it's right after the situation that they lost Kaylee. This is maybe the time to mend things. I don't think this is what Kaylee would have wanted. I don't even know if she knew about her sister. According to her sister, they were communicating through Facebook, and it's so sad. These are sisters. So I hope they all accept going to therapy, and maybe even having a one-to-one therapy, especially for Steve and for his daughter. And then maybe that they both have, it's like family therapy. Just like we have couples counseling, we have family therapy when family members do not meet eye to eye. Then we have separate therapies for them, and then we bring them together as a family, as a couple, as a mother and father, as a father and daughter, and they all sit and talk out honestly about what they feel. I think something like that needs to be done in this situation. It's really sad, and I really don't think she's clout chasing. I really think she's searching for her father, and obviously it must be hurting her to see her father on TV talking so proudly about his family, but not including her, excluding her. That is too much for her. And especially with all the struggles that she's going through, I believe Steve should understand it's never too late. She's a part of your family. She's a part of you. Because even Kaylee's older sister, Alivira, did not deny that she's part of the family. So I think she should be embraced in the family. I don't know what's the situation and I can't speak for them. But what I can see is a young woman suffering of mental health issues, suffering of self-medication. All the journey that she's going through leads back to her parents, her mother and father. She's having abandoned issues and she really needs help in her struggle, which is not fair at all. So I can't judge for Steve or for anyone or for the girl, but what I'm saying right now, like as a licensed cognitive behavior therapist, even as a CBT therapist, we concentrate about here and now. So maybe they need something like a here and now therapy to move on, to accept. Because the girl obviously has abandonment issues, and the only thing that can heal in this process is her father talking to her, accepting that he was in fault by not contacting her for whatever reason, for them to basically bless it out. This is going to take a process, but I really believe this girl needs that so that she can grow out of this difficult situation. Because it seems like it's all become like, it's all crashing at one time. She's going through mental health struggles. She's going to abandonment issues. She's going to addiction issues, self-medication issues. And she's a young woman. She doesn't deserve to be going through that journey by herself. She needs a father. Her father should be there. And I